I'd like to introduce my colleagues, Mike Gura and Rob Folkerts. And today we're going to talk to you about a project we developed which we call BWeeMM. BWeeMM began as an idea, and originally it was supposed to be a way to track individual transactions and monitor those transactions as well. When we were discussing the scope of our project, we asked ourselves, why should we be limited by the constraints of an individual traditional transaction track? And we quickly discovered that we shouldn't. And that's why we decided that we were going to break those constraints and we were going to develop something new. We were going to develop a collaborative solution for managing finances. And we will also eliminate the monotony of dividing purchases amongst groups. And that is how we came up with BWeeMM.
What is BWeeMM? BWeeMM, like Tim said, is a collaborative expense tracker. Like any other expense tracker, it will track your personal expenses. But in addition, we took it a step further and allow users to form groups with their friends or roommates to share expenses, such as a heating bill, electrical bill, or just pizza. And we'll divide those transactions amongst group members. Also, BWeeMM provides users with a visual representation of their spending trends through the use of graphs and charts. So why the name BWeeMM? Currently, BWeeMM has no definition, but it's a fun, creative, catchy name. So that may sound a little profound, but look back at Google. In 1996, Google was just a college research project, much like our project right now. And now today, they're the world's most popular search engine, and there's even a definition for them in the dictionary. Also, look at Twitter. Twitter, 6 years ago, it used to be called TWTTR, and processed about 20,000 tweets a day. Now it's known as Twitter, and it processes about 300 million every second. So what do these two entities have in common? They both had no predefined definition, but they all started as an idea, and they evolved. BWeeMM seeks to follow this model. So as we go forward with BWeeMM, we look forward to seeing how our users define us.
All right. With our unique name, we understand that all people have unique situations and are unique themselves. So through this uniquity, we wanted to create a memorable, innovative experience for the users and allow them to express their creativity through the expense tracking. We are currently creating a culture, and all strong cultures are based on strong communication. We want our users to have strong communication skills, to be able to ask their friends politely for money when you're splitting up things such as the water bill, which can cause arguments or fights. We want to get around that and say, here's the water bill, there's how much it is, here's how much you owe me. And we want to make that interactive and fun for people. The setup of our site, we have it currently hosted on a Linux virtual machine here on campus, and we are running Apache server. We are using the content management system Drupal, which creates a framework for the entire site. It does some of the back-end things like user creation and management for us. Drupal is also connected to a MySQL server, which hosts the Drupal database as well as our financial transaction database.
So why did we choose Drupal? There are a lot of content management services available. We chose Drupal because it's open source and it's free as well. And since it's open source, it's actually developed by a very large community, which means there's a ton of information available for us. And also there are a lot of modules which are customizable and can be used to pretty much do whatever you want. So Drupal was a good choice for our situation where we wanted a framework for our site, but we still wanted the ability to do what we wanted to do with it. And Drupal provided us with that ability. So without going into too much detail about the actual ins and outs of our database, we do have two separate databases. We have our Drupal database, which stores all of the user information as well as group information and content of the actual website content. And then we have the transaction database, which stores all of the transactions which are associated with groups and personal transactions as well. By separating these two databases, we have the ability to maintain the integrity of the financial information. So these databases actually have no communication with each other. So in the unlikely situation that the site were compromised, the transaction information is stored separately from all of the site content, so that we don't have to worry about losing any of that information.
Here's just a simple system diagram. The user connects to our site through the internet. The site is hosted on the Apache server, which then talks to the MySQL database.
So the future of Lean. We're not stopping. We will pursue Lean. We'll follow a incremental model. So Lean 1.1. Something that we really want to work on for version 1.1 is the ability to allow users to enter customizable group transactions. Currently, it is being split between the members. We also want to do some mobile integration. Currently, it is accessible and functional on mobile devices with a web browser and HTML5. However, some formatting needs to be done to enhance the user experience.
Some of the roadblocks and challenges that we have faced doing this project. Originally, as Tim said previously, we were looking at a personal expense tracker, and we have since changed the scope to include groups. We've had a bit of a learning curve with Drupal. None of us had used it previously, so it was an interesting but a little bit at times challenging thing to learn. Also, all three of us are IT students, so our programming level is pretty basic, and we've had to go beyond what we have been exposed to in the past with more complex JavaScript, PHP type situations, or type programming, I should say. We've also done a lot more advanced database queries than we have done in the past. And then one of the biggest challenges we faced was our group management page, where the groups see a page, and the page is the same for every group, but being able to divide it for each group, so you only see your group's information.
So at BWeeMM, we think that transparency is extremely important, and we want our users to know exactly what to expect on our site. And that's why we disclose all of our known issues, so that you know what to expect when you're using it. And if something weird were to happen, that you're not confused as to why that actually happened. So currently, some of our known issues are the group transaction compatibility is not compatible with Firefox at this point. It will work in Internet Explorer and Google Chrome as well. And Gmail flags all of our site mail as spam. That's just because we do have the registered URL, BWeeMM.com. It's, at this point not very well known, so Gmail sees it as spam. Those are our known issues at this point, and we do look to all of our users to submit any issues that they find to us, so that we can work those out. Now we're going to go into our demo. So this is our landing page, and
Alright, yeah, so user enters BWeeMM.com to the URL, they'll be directed to our homepage. Here we give our users a welcome message with a brief overview of BWeeMM. We also allow users to create a free BWeeMM account right here. They'll send them an email and you follow simple instructions to set their account. Also, as Tim said, transparency is important, so we have our current things we're working on for the next version right here. So you see, as we call our users BWeeMers. So these are some of the things that we're working on for 1.1 currently. And also, as Tim said, users can submit any questions or concerns through our email link at the bottom. So now we'll log in.
Yeah, we're just going to log into an account that we've created so that you can see the actual site working. So when you log in, you're presented with 3 tabs, and then this 4th tab, which we'll talk about shortly. The 3 tabs are the personal transaction tracker, the group transaction tracker, and then the reportings tab. When you go to the group transaction tracker, the personal transaction tracker, you are presented with a form that allows you to enter in a transaction provide a description as well as an amount, choose from a category, and then enter the date that the transaction is processed. When you submit the transaction, you'll be returned and you'll see that the transaction is displayed along with all of your other transactions, and you can see the total amount of your transactions at the bottom of the page. Currently they are sorted by month and by time, so it'll be the most recent transaction on top. Next is the group portion of our website, which is really what we're trying to drive here. So every user has the ability to create a group, and group creation is extremely simple. You just enter the name of the group, and then you have the ability to create a body for your group homepage. We do allow filtered HTML, so if you wanted to, you could put some of your own formatting in there and kind of make it geared towards what you would like to display and have your users see, or you can just put in plain text as well. So when you create a group, and then you will be presented with your group page. So currently this page doesn't have any plain text or HTML, so it's just the basic page. We do allow group commenting, so any of the group members have the ability to discuss transactions or whatever else they want directly through their group page. Next, if you have the ability as the owner of a group to add other users to your group. This is just done by username. You click on who you like, or you click on add person, you type in their username, and you can send them a message, however you'd like to do it. This will send them an email, so I will have an email now, saying that Darren Sharper has invited me to join his group. And I can either accept or decline. So now when you go back to the group page, you'll have a drop-down list of groups that you are currently in. So if we select Gumby, you'll see all of your group members, and you'll be presented with that same form to submit a transaction. Except on this page, this is the group page, so these transactions will be distributed amongst all of the group members. The total for the entire transaction will be displayed on this page. So when you submit this and then navigate back to your group, you'll see that the lunch here is posted in this group. And then if you go to your personal page, you'll see the same transaction, except it'll be the amount that you are responsible for. Currently, this is just the amount of the total transaction divided by the number of group members. That is how the group portion of the website works, and now we're going to take a look at our reporting.
All right, here for our reporting, we've chosen a couple different graphs to represent how you're doing your spending. The first one is just a breakdown of all your spending on every different category that we have. We have 20 different categories, and obviously not every user is going to use every category, so we just have a sampling here. And you can click on any different portion, and it'll show the exact amount that you have spent in that amount. And you can bring up any single one, and it'll show you how much you spent. The next graph is just the spending per month. We just break it down, for whichever month during the current year, you'll see a breakdown of the amount that you spent. This user is a recently created one, so they don't have much previous, but they have a few things in March, and then they spent a good amount this month in April. The last one is the categorical spending for the current month. This one is currently doing just this month of April, and it will show just a breakdown of how much you spent per category. We are looking to implement a feature where you'd be able to select a previous month and see, so you could go back and see what you spent for March or February, so on and so forth.
Okay. And here's a little beta page. This won't be seen to the users, but we're just showing the software demo purposes. So one of the things we want to solve for 1.1 is the customizable group amounts. So as you can see here, these weren't in our previous group transaction pages. So you can just choose a regular split, or you can create, enter in custom amounts. As you see, Rob here, he entered $200 in here. This text box will capture those variables and make sure that each amount that you enter for each user matches this, so we have validation. You'll see, so a group transaction, the total amount will go here, and then as currently as is right now, each user's own expense would go into their own personal expense track.
And this feature is important because you're not always using an even split on a check. If Rob and I go out to dinner and his portion of the bill is twice as much as mine, why should we both pay even? So this is one of the features that will allow you to really show exactly what a person owes on a given transaction versus just an even split. I believe that's it for our demo, so I'd like to open up the floor for questions.
Just a reminder, what's up with the weird date format?
That is one of the visual, well, we originally formatted it month, day, year. Our database doesn't like that very much. So for purposes of, keeping things, instead of trying to, figure out the minor little details, we wanted to make sure that the scope of our project worked properly. So we went with this date format.
Who do you see as your target audience for this?
We think that this would be really good for roommates,
College roommates.
especially younger college students who don't have much experience dealing with finances in a group setting. This way they can all see, exactly where their money's going, what they're responsible for in those types of situations.
It even work for friends too. You have comments you can talk with your friends. Say if your friends go out to a bar, one can fix up the tab, and their friends get them later. It can be used for couples. It's meant for anyone with multiple incomes to divide up their expenses. So that's our target audience.
You guys have anyone tested off the U3?
Well, Rob, with your roommates.
Yeah,
Really? That's good. That's a valid use.
Yeah, just a little bit with our roommates. We just did a couple of things. We went out one night and put it in and fired it up and some groceries.
I've used it with a few of my friends. The functionality, we wanted to keep it simple so it's not, so you're not going through and trying to figure out what to do. It's be intuitive, so you know exactly what's going on. So, I've tested it with a few of my friends.
So how can you tell if somebody's paid up or
At this point, we don't have that currently implemented.
With our target audience, with roommates, obviously, you're going to be living with them since, hey, you haven't, given me whatever the amount is, you haven't paid me the $5.
So like, you owe me $5. Where's that $5 at?
Because we're looking at primarily roommates, you're not obviously going to be talking to these people, so you're going to have communication with them, and hopefully you can be able to talk to them and say, hey, you owe me $15 for groceries, or I picked up lunch the other day, and we can figure something out that way.
But we do include the comments for remote talking for Twitter members.
How did you select Drupal?
Well, we looked at a number of content management systems, such as WordPress, and the company I actually worked for uses Drupal a lot, and I didn't have much experience with it, but I've heard the term thrown around so much, it's just kind of our go-to CMS, so it's actually why we chose it. Yes.
So none of you had experience with Drupal. When you selected Drupal, how did you go about learning Drupal in order to develop?
A lot of time in the library.
There was a lot of trial and error. We installed, they use the ability to expand the functionality of Drupal through modules, and we just were like, oh, this one might work, we downloaded it, this one might work. And we ended up using quite a few. A lot of the group stuff is handled by a Drupal module, and there was a bunch that we just didn't use and we subsequently turned off. So just lots of trial and error.
suppose I told you that I wanted to take this and have this be the expense reporting mechanism for the traveling team at my workplace. And I wanted a way for you to submit a team expense report. How would you go about implementing that into the policy?
Would this be something that would have individual items at the total amount, or just an overall amount that would be distributed amongst all the team members?
I would need to be able to tell you, here's a team, all the people, and I would need a list of all of the things they spent for a given trip.
Okay, so that would be, you could use this as is now, you just have to take a slightly different approach to how you view the reporting. Currently, we take things and we look at it as a way of what's already been done, where you would have your group members, you could have them all submit what they have spent or are responsible for, and then the actual reporting right now we're doing by month, so that would have to be changed to allow you to either change the time frame or maybe choose like have actual like events set up, so you would have, you know, reporting for a specific event. We probably go about it somewhat like that.
Actually, I also add on to that. I mentioned that we're doing like customizable amounts for 1.1. So you could create a group for the team and create an account for each member of that team. And you would add the amounts that each person knows, and you can see the breakdown of how each person knows. But that's how we would implement that. So it's not currently implemented, but we're working on it.
Because it's, as a team at work travel, some of their meals are together and some are individual. And you wanted to get a sense of your whole work team's travel expenses.
Right, so stay tuned for BWeeMM 1.1.
All right, thank you very much.